Although some housing policies have been implemented, one must ask, is housing alone truly sufficient when people also lack opportunity and a sense of belonging? Notably, the tourism industry, once responsible for nearly 1/5 of the city's total income, has experienced a sharp decline, in some areas by as much as 40%. When the flow of tourists stops, service workers lose their jobs. This begins a cycle of economic downturn that feeds into itself. Hollywood, once renowned as the place where dreams were written, is now scripting a different story. One that is quieter, more somber, and where not everyone gets a role. Is it possible that, in our increasingly modern society, the line between those who succeed and those who are forgotten is thinner than ever? Have you ever visited Los Angeles? What do you miss most about it? And what might make you hesitant to return? We've explored 3 large, vibrant, and well-known cities. But the next story doesn't come from a metropolis with millions of residents. Instead, it comes from a place you may never have considered, a city quietly vanishing from the map of California. Welcome to Sacramento, the capital of California. It is here that legislative decisions affecting nearly 40 million people are crafted, debated, and enacted. Yet, when night falls, this very city, where housing and welfare laws are written, witnesses some of the highest levels of homelessness. Over the past 3 years, the homeless population in Sacramento has risen by 68%, surpassing the statewide growth rate. This is not just a statistic, it's a warning sign. And the trajectory remains uncertain. Consider the story of a former accounting clerk who once worked for a local government department. He retired early due to health concerns, but his pension couldn't cover the rent of the apartment he'd lived in for 12 years. Now, he resides in his old truck, where he sleeps, cooks, and reflects on his past life, just a few blocks from his former office. His case is far from unique. Skyrocketing home prices in the Bay Area have driven many residents inland, to cities like Sacramento, in search of new opportunities. Ironically, this migration is driving up rental costs in Sacramento, while the city's welfare infrastructure is not equipped to handle such a rapid influx. Additionally, post-pandemic budget constraints have stretched state resources, leading to the downsizing or termination of many local support programs. If even California's capital, one of the wealthiest states in the country, is buckling under the pressure of a housing and cost of living crisis, how long can smaller, less financially supported communities endure? The irony is glaring. A man who once helped draft legislation now finds himself caught in the very system he once served. No one individual is to blame, yet it's clear that something within the structure is no longer aligned with present-day realities. Could it be that the current model of governance, established decades ago, is now out of sync with the speed of societal change? What makes housing policy implementation so difficult? Have you ever seen something similar happen in your own city? If Sacramento, the center of California's legislative and financial planning, is struggling, what fate awaits smaller, quieter cities? The next chapter in this story comes from a place you might not have heard of, but perhaps it's exactly where the clearest warning sign is emerging. Redding is not Los Angeles. It's not San Francisco either. It has no movie studios, no tech billionaires, no glittering press events. And perhaps that's precisely why Redding is quietly becoming one of the first cities in California to slip off the map. The proportion of people in Redding living without stable housing is now among the highest in the state. While the city's population may be small, the depth of the crisis is more concentrated than in many larger urban areas. Some schools in Redding have been forced to shut down temporarily due to low student enrollment. Families often leave the city after losing their jobs. Healthcare facilities are shrinking, and the local community support center has reduced its operating hours. The most fragile thing to lose during times like this is faith in the future. A young boy and his grandmother live in a tent pitched near the public library. Each morning, they sit by a window to access the library's Wi-Fi so the boy can attend his online classes. They never complain, just quietly persevere, like so many others in the city. Redding once offered plentiful manual labor jobs, affordable housing, and a moderate lifestyle. But after the pandemic, its local budgets were severely slashed. Housing development was delayed, and as living costs rose nationwide, Reading found itself with no resources to fall back on. Larger cities may have the financial capacity to patch their problems, but places like Reading lack a safety net when they stumble. These overlooked towns, if neglected further, could become flashpoints for broader social instability. There exists another side of California, one without skyscrapers or startups. Here, mobile homes are common, and dreams are modest enough to fit into the back of a pickup truck. It's a version of California quietly collapsing, with no media coverage to tell its story. Are you living in a city like Reading, peaceful, familiar, but eroding slowly day by day, perhaps without you even noticing? Have you ever watched a city slowly empty out? What was the first sign? We'd love to hear from you. San Bernardino once served as a convenient stopover for middle-class families traveling between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. It wasn't flashy, but it was calm and livable. Sadly, that is no longer the case. In 2012, San Bernardino filed for bankruptcy, making it one of the largest cities in the U.S. to do so. Over a decade later, the effects still persist. In the past 3 years alone, homelessness in the city has surged by over 60%. The unemployment rate also exceeds the state average. In San Bernardino, homelessness doesn't always look like someone living on the street. Many families sleep in their cars or split the cost of motel rooms, often sharing space with 3 or 4 others. People are still working, but even full-time jobs don't provide enough income to secure stable housing at current market rates. One woman in her 50s, formerly a librarian, now lives in a parked SUV. After losing her job during the pandemic, she began working part-time at a grocery store. Her modest income doesn't allow for rent, so she chose to live in her vehicle rather than incur debts. Every morning, she reads to stay mentally and physically alert. San Bernardino is a classic example of a middle-sized city. Not large enough to be noticed by federal or media attention, yet not small enough to qualify for specialized relief. Caught between two extremes, its residents are the ones who suffer the longest and most acutely. If cities like San Bernardino gradually vanish from the economic landscape, they risk being forgotten by policymakers as well. And when public memory fades, we abandon the communities that once formed the backbone of the nation's economy. Cities don't collapse all at once. Their downfall is gradual. Each closed business, each empty classroom, and each family that quietly moves away without returning is a step toward decline. Do you know of a once thriving city that is now quietly fading away? Could it be your own hometown? In your opinion, what factors are making it increasingly difficult for small cities to retain their populations? From San Francisco to San Bernardino, decline is becoming more and more common. What shared issues are emerging? What questions should we, as citizens, be asking right now? We've now examined 6 cities, 6 distinct pieces of California. But is this just a localized issue? Or does it reflect a deeper transformation happening across the country, neighborhood by neighborhood, home by home? For decades, Americans have tended to view homelessness as an urban issue, something isolated to major cities like Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco. But that perception no longer holds true. Today, homelessness is rising across the nation, from rural towns in Texas, to decaying industrial cities in Pennsylvania, to once prosperous vacation spots in Florida. The number of people living without stable housing is growing at a pace never before seen. As of the end of 2024, data from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, shows that more than 770,000 Americans are experiencing homelessness, the highest figure since HUD began tracking national statistics in 2007. That's 1 out of every 500 Americans. And this number only reflects the visible portion of the crisis. There are still countless others living temporarily in cars, staying with friends, or seeking shelter in religious institutions, none of whom are counted in official data. One of the paradoxes of this crisis is that, even as the economy recovers from the pandemic, homelessness continues to rise. There are many contributing factors, but 4 main causes stand out. First, rental prices have surged far beyond the income levels of average workers. Nationwide, Rent has increased by over 30% in just the last 5 years, while real wages for the general labor force have barely kept pace. In many areas, someone earning minimum wage must work 2 or 3 jobs just to afford a one-bedroom apartment. Second, there is a severe shortage of affordable housing. Estimates suggest that the United States currently faces a staggering shortage of approximately 7 million units of affordable housing for individuals with low or very low income. Although various housing initiatives have been proposed over the years, progress remains painstakingly slow due to bureaucratic red tape, insufficient budgets, and resistance from local communities. Another major issue is the lack of mental health services and accessible health care. Many individuals end up homeless after experiencing a health crisis, whether physical or psychological. The U.S. lacks a comprehensive, universally accessible healthcare system for the uninsured. This means a heart attack, a round of chemotherapy, or even a job loss can quickly push an entire family into homelessness. On top of that, social safety nets like public insurance have failed to keep up with today's living costs. Many seniors receive Social Security benefits of less than $10,000 per year. Nowhere near enough to cover basic rent in any major city. Veterans, individuals with disabilities, and those forced into early retirement often face an impossible reality. If they don't already own a home, they are left with very few options. Contrary to outdated stereotypes, homelessness today affects a wide range of people. A single mother working 2 part-time jobs may still be unable to afford rent. A recent college graduate might be living out of their car because they can't find work in their field. A factory worker loses their livelihood after the plant closes down. An elderly man lives in an RV, struggling to survive on his meager Social Security income. A family with 3 children might find themselves living in a motel after being evicted for falling just 2 months behind on rent. In today's reality, anyone can become homeless after only a few misfortunes. There is no longer a wide safety margin, no longer a false sense of distance between us and them. Cities across the country are trying to address this crisis, but most local governments lack the resources to make real change. They are stuck between the high expectations of their citizens and the hard limits of their budgets. Many cities have embraced a housing-first approach, providing temporary housing and long-term shelter, but often without the crucial support services that make recovery sustainable. Psychological counseling, employment assistance, and legal aid are missing in many of these programs. The result? Some people gain temporary shelter but lack the tools to rebuild their lives. And the issue doesn't end there. A large homeless population creates a negative cycle for entire communities. As foot traffic declines, small businesses close. Neighborhoods lose their vitality. Property values drop. City budgets shrink. Public services are cut. Social security programs struggle to keep up. Even middle-income earners begin to leave, further eroding the city's tax base. This downward spiral leads to urban decay and a slow, painful loss of identity and hope. In drone footage captured over cities across the nation, once bustling neighborhoods appear eerily deserted. A public library stands closed due to budget cuts. A church remains open 24 hours a day, but not for prayer. It now serves as shelter for the homeless. These are no longer isolated cases. What we are witnessing is a nationwide mosaic made up of fractured, forgotten communities, scattered across all regions of the country. Perhaps now is the moment to re-examine the entire framework of housing, healthcare, and labor in America. Should access to housing be considered a basic human right instead of a market-driven commodity? Can we, as a nation, accept a reality in which hundreds of thousands of people live without shelter, in one of the most developed countries on Earth? When someone cannot find a safe place to sleep, it's not just a personal tragedy, it's a collective failure. It reveals that society no longer has an effective support system, and that even the most basic protections for its citizens are missing. If we fail to act, if we ignore the warning signs and withhold empathy, the crisis will not remain limited to a few cities or states. It will continue to spread, reaching into every corner of the American map. We've now explored 6 cities, each with a distinct narrative, yet all resonating with the same haunting echo. Once vibrant communities now caught in silence and struggle. San Francisco, Fresno, Los Angeles, Sacramento, Redding, San Bernardino. None of these places collapsed overnight. Their decline happened gradually, each shuttered shop, each departing family, and each vanishing opportunity representing another step toward decay. You may not live in California. You may never have seen tents rising near your home. But that doesn't mean your city is immune. Homelessness isn't just about individuals without shelter. It's a warning sign that our system is leaving too many behind. We can't fix a broken society with just a video. But we can begin with an honest question. Is the place I live changing, quietly, subtly, and permanently? What do you believe is the primary cause of today's homelessness crisis? Is it a policy failure? Market forces? Or is it something deeper, woven into the very way we've built modern society? We encourage you to leave a comment below. This conversation is not just about California. It's about all of us. That concludes our story. If you believe this kind of honest, human-centered reporting deserves to continue, real stories, real emotions, real facts, please subscribe to our channel and join us for future videos. Every follow, every like, and every comment is a vote to keep shedding light on stories that are too often overlooked. All information in this video is drawn from public data, research, and press sources available at the time of production. This video is meant for commentary and educational purposes. It does not represent any specific organization, government, or individual. All opinions presented are intended to inspire thoughtful discussion, not to assign blame. Thank you for watching until the very end. We'll see you in the next video.